For section 5.4, we are doing the triangle mid-segment theorem. And the mid-segment of a triangle is a segment that joins the midpoints of two sides of the triangle. Every triangle has three mid-segments, and they form a mid-segment triangle. So as you can see in the picture below, the midpoint from all three sides is given G, F, and E. And then if you connect those three, you make a triangle on the inside, which is called that mid-segment triangle. Oops. For example 1, it says in triangle GHJ, show that the mid-segment KL is parallel to GJ and that KL is half of GJ. So in order to do this, we have to find the ordered pairs for K and L. And we can look and assume that our graph is correct, but we all know in geometry we have to prove things. So we are going to find the midpoint of HG. So that is where we take the x's, so -5 and -7, and we add them together. And we divide by 2 for our x coordinate. And then we do the same thing for our y coordinates. So we have 6 plus a -2 for the y coordinates, and we divide that by 2. So -5 plus -7 is -12. -12 divided by 2 would be -6. And then 6 plus a -2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the ordered pair for K is -6, 2. Then we have to do the same thing for L. So we're going to do HJ. We're going to add the x coordinates together and divide by 2. And we're going to add the y coordinates together. Add the y coordinates together and divide by 2. So -5 plus 1 would be -4. -4 divided by 2 would be -2. And then 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the coordinates of L is -2, 4. Then, now that we know the coordinates and we know that our points are right here, we can find the slope of KL because we have to prove that it's parallel to GJ. And if it's parallel, they have the same slope. So I am going to go up and over. I go up 2 and I go over 4. So my rise over my run is 2/4, which reduces to 1/2. Then I'm going to do the same thing for GJ. I'm going to go up 4 and then I'm going over 8. So up 4 over 8, that reduces to 1/2 as well. So that proves that they are parallel because they have the same slopes. And the other thing that they're asking us to prove in this question is that KL is half of GJ. So that's what this last piece means right here. So now we got to find the length of KL and GJ. And we do that by using the distance formula. And the distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So for the distance of KL, I am going to do -2 minus -6. So minus a -6 would turn to a +6 squared plus 4 minus 2 squared. And we have to simplify that. So -2 plus 6 would be 4, and 4 squared would be 16. And then 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So that simplifies down to 20. So we have the square root of 20 here. I also have to do the same thing for the points for GJ. So I'm going to do -7 minus 1 squared plus -2 minus 2 squared. -7 minus 1 is -8. negative 8 squared would be 64. And then negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. And if I add those together, I get the square root of 80. Now, I want to prove that that top one is half the size. So in my calculator, I typed in the square root of 20, and it come out to be about 4.5. And then I typed in the square root of 80, and it came out to be about 9. So 4.5 is definitely half of 9. So that proves that KL is half of GJ. So there's a lot of work in one little problem there. Then we're going to move on to the triangle midsegment theorem. And this says that the midsegment of a triangle is parallel to a side of the triangle and its length is half the length of that side. So this is telling us, this theorem is telling us everything that we just proved in example 1. So it's telling us that in this picture, DE is parallel to AC, and it's also telling us that DE is half the size of AC. So for example 2, we are going to have to find each measure. So UW is right here. I'm doing a different color. There's UW. So its parallel side is right here, which is labeled 7.4. So UW is half of that. So we have to figure out what half of 7.4 is. And that is 3.7. So the length of UW is 3.7. Then we also have to find the measure of angle SVU. So SVU is right here. And if you notice over here, angle WUV is labeled 41 degrees. So this one right here, those are alternate interior angles. They're on the opposite sides of that transversal, so they are the exact same measurement. So the measure of angle SVU is 41 degrees. Now for our last example, it says Anna wants to find the distance across the base of the Capulin volcano, an extinct volcano in New Mexico. She measures a triangle at one side of the volcano as shown in the diagram. What is AE? So they want to know what the length of AE is. So if BD is the midsegment, it's parallel to AE, and it's also half the size of AE. So we have to do 775 times 2 to figure it out. Or you could think about it like this. Half of our segment AE, I'll call it X, is going to give us, we're not writing a fraction here, we're writing 775. And then I would have to divide both sides by 2, or 1/2, and dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So 775 times 2 is 1,550, and these are meters.